All right, I think that's everyone in. Well, hello everyone. My name is Darren. I'm one of the marketing coordinators with BCIT's School of Health Sciences. I just want to thank you very much for joining our info session on occupational health and safety, part-time associate certificate and certificate programs. And first off, I want to say how happy we are to see you all and thank you for coming to our presentation today. I just want to let you know that you can post your questions and comments into the chat during the presentation, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible near the end of the presentation in the Q&A segment. And third, I would request that you please keep your microphone and video turned off until the end of the presentation, just to reduce any chances of interruptions and connectivity issues. That is much appreciated. Thank you. And we're just about to proceed, but first I would like to mention that the British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. And for tonight's agenda, we're going to do the welcome introductions. We're almost done that now. We'll cover part-time studies and the Occupational Health and Safety Program and the options. We'll talk about who is the program for. We'll talk about what you'll learn and how you will learn it, where you will work, and how you can progress in your career. And then we'll get to the Q&A at the end.
Thanks, Darren. Do you want me to take it from here?
Actually, if it's okay, Dave, I think we're going to do some quick polls just
okay, good.
While people are here. And I'm going to launch the first one right now. It's a general question. And if everyone could just answer this. How did you hear about this info session? And just one choice, please. I'll give just a few seconds so everyone can make their selection. Okay, I think that's it. It looks like most people found it on the BCIT webpage, and that seems to be the most popular. Okay, now we have a general question number 2. If you attended college or university, where did you attend? And please make a choice. Excellent, getting a variety. That is very nice to see. Just a couple more seconds and I'll end the poll. Okay. And the last general question, we do have one occupational health and safety question, but where are you located? I still see a couple answers trickling in. Okay, thank you for that. And now we have the occupational health and safety question. Which of the following is something a safety practitioner should not be doing? Please check one. Now, this is a good question. I'm looking forward to David's answer because it sounds like something they would all be doing. Okay, thanks so much. I'm going to end the poll right there. And there's the results. And now I'm going to hand it over to David Wood, who will do the rest of the presentation. And I'm going to stop sharing that answer now.
Okay, I'm off. First of all, welcome to everybody. Good job on that poll, because in a way, safety professionals do all of those things, but if there is one of them that they should not be doing, it is enforcing safety requirements. A safety professional should not be going around to workers telling them what to do. That is what you pay supervisors for. That's what managers are there for, to do that, to tell their supervisors to do their job. So you definitely do not want to be doing that as a safety professional. It does not go over well with workers, and it's really not your job. Get everybody else to do their job and move on from there. So I'm ready for the next slide, Darren.
Okay.
Okay, so the question here is why occupational health and safety? Why do you want to go into that program? Everybody has a different reason. Everybody comes from somewhere. They have a background story. And so there are many different reasons why you might want to go into occupational health and safety. From my point of view, it is a great choice. Occupational health and safety is a great career. It is so varied. You can do so many different things in the career. It's no two jobs are the same. It's never boring. It's in high demand and it pays very well. So there's lots of reasons why occupational health and safety is a great career. I guess the question you need to know, is it a great career for you? Takes a certain type of personality, certain attributes to be a safety professional, but there are so many different jobs in so many different industries that there's usually a place for everybody to fit in and do a good job and be happy in the career. So next slide. Okay, our programs, we have an associate certificate called Associate Certificate in Foundations in Occupational Health and Safety. This program is 7 courses or 20 credits. It does provide all the basics you need to start work in an entry-level or safety practitioner / technician role. So you learn what you need to do to get your foot in the door and start working in safety. It does meet the educational requirements required for the Canadian Registered Safety Technician designation, which is a national certification. And after you complete the associate certificate, you can progress your career more because that ladders into a certificate in advanced safety management. So this is just the start of your education and the start of your career, which will go on and on as you progress in your development as a safety professional. Next slide. So the certificate in advanced safety management, that's the program you would take after the associate certificate. That is 15 courses or 45 credits. Provides the education required to progress from that entry-level safety practitioner or technician role to work at a much higher level in safety management. It's a great way to progress your career over time because you have to start at the start and develop into that full-time safety professional. So as it says there, it is taken after the associate certificate in foundations in OHS, and together the 2 programs meet the educational requirements for certification as a Canadian Registered Safety Professional, or CRSP. So the CRSP requires those 2 certifications for the educational component, plus it requires 4 years work experience in safety, and we'll probably talk about that a little later. Next slide. So I guess the question is occupational health and safety for you. So what we're looking for in a student is a minimum of 3 to 5 years or more of general work experience. And that's because we don't encourage people coming right out of high school to get into occupational health and safety. You really have to know what goes on in the workplace, how things work in the real world. If you take this program right out of high school, certainly you can graduate in it. However, getting the job would be very difficult without having a good background in just general work experience. If you haven't been out there and worked and know the culture and know what other workers are doing and how they think, it's very hard to be telling them what to do, and they're not going to be listening to you. So you definitely need, prospective students definitely need some work experience. You also need English proficiency in the 4 language skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Those are all really important. 2 years of education in English in an English-speaking country, in English 12, are strongly recommended, but are not required. We're not going to make sure you have them. We have had students come into the program and graduate without even having their grade 12. Quite often our students have been out working in industry for 10 or 20 or more years, and then they get injured or their bodies start wearing out, and they want to retrain but stay in their own profession. So a lot of times they do come into safety, and they can be successful taking the program, and they can be very successful going on in their career as a safety professional, because they bring a lot of knowledge and skills they have gained in the workplace to their position. So those people are actually highly sought after. So the minimum of 3 to 5 years of general work experience, but I have had many, many students with 20 or 30 years of work experience or trades experience come into the program and do very well after. So another factor, student success in safety depends greatly, as we just said, on the abilities and skills they bring with them, as well as their work experience and work history, knowing the job hazards, understanding the culture of the workplace, how to talk to other workers, how other workers think, being able to relate to them. If you can't relate to other people in the workplace, it's very hard to function effectively as a safety professional. Next slide. So what sort of things are you going to learn in our program? First of all, a little bit about the courses. They're all online. BCIT courses are not easy. You may have done some online courses in the past and kind of whiz through them in a half an hour or a couple of hours. Those are not BCIT courses. With our courses, you should expect to spend probably from 6 to 10 hours each week for the 12 weeks of the term on the course material, studying, doing assignments, getting ready for exams, reviewing, watching videos, interacting with your tutor or the other students. So there's lots of things to do in the online courses, but you should expect to spend several hours per week on each course that you take at BCIT. And we mention that so you don't go and sign up for 5 or 6 courses. Almost nobody can do that so successfully. So expect to start with 1 or 2 courses, and if you find you can handle the workload and the information, you're welcome to take more courses in subsequent terms, but definitely start with 1 or 2 courses and work from there. And it also depends, how much time you have for studying. If you're working at the same time, how many hours are you working? Do you have family or other commitments outside of work that's going to take your time up? So again, just to be a little bit prudent on how many courses you sign up for. Terms, we have 3 terms a year. It's a term-based system. So there are 3 12-week long terms starting in January, April, and September each year. So next term starts, I think, April the 5th. So coming up in a few weeks, if you're interested in registering for a course, registration is open for the spring term. So each course has an instructor or a tutor. We call them tutors in part-time studies. So they are there each week to answer all your questions. Courses usually, almost all courses have 2 exams and 2 assignments, usually due around the middle of the term, week 6, and towards week 12, the end of the term. The assignments are completed and submitted online. The exams are also written online, but they must be written with a proctor who is a licensed professional. You can learn more about proctors later. Or at the BCIT test center. We do not allow students just to access the exams and write them at home. They they're very important part of the learning and the evaluation. All of the courses at BCIT are credit courses, so that means you get academic credits for it. So we have to be very strict with our evaluation processes. Most of the online courses have discussion, so you would be posting and reading things from other students talking about issues or questions that the instructor raises. The assignments in these courses, we make them as practical and hands-on as we can. We want you to go out into a workplace. Sometimes you have to go out and talk to people. Sometimes you have to go out and do an inspection in a workplace. Sometimes you would go out and look at a safety program manual or something else. So it's important sometimes to have a workplace that you can access, either your current workplace, a previous workplace, or if you have friends out there working, you know, talk to them and maybe you can get access to their workplace. So it's not, this is not a program that's all theoretical. We try to make it as hands-on, as practical as possible, so that at the end, when you graduate, you are ready to go into the workplace. Next slide. So what sort of things are you going to learn? There's a few points here. Obviously, you're going to learn a lot more than this, but for starters, all the legal requirements for occupational health and safety in your jurisdiction. This is not BC specific. You are going to learn a lot of BC stuff, but students from other provinces also take this program, and we talk about regulations and legal requirements in other provinces and federally. And a lot of the assignments, you have to use the regulations in your own province and to do the assignment. So it's not a BC specific program, although there is one course that's an elective that focuses on BC. We talk a lot about accident investigation theories, methods, models, different ways, different requirements, all kinds of things about accident investigation. Hazard recognition and evaluation processes. There are many ways to recognize and evaluate hazards. So we look at different methods of doing that. And once hazards are identified and evaluated, the hazard control, like how you implement the hazard controls, depending on, you know, what the requirement is, whether it's some sort of engineering control or an administrative control or personal protective equipment or some other methods of reducing the risk with that hazard. We look at all of those sorts of options. Overall safety program development and management. So developing safety programs is something that you would learn how to do in this program. It's something a safety professional does quite a bit of, developing, managing, and reviewing and assessing their programs to make sure they're up to date and working well. We talk a lot about safety culture in the workplace, how to develop and maintain a good, strong, positive safety culture. That's really important, because anything you do in safety is going to, how it's received and how it's implemented is going to depend on the culture in the workplace. If you have a poor safety culture, your efforts are going to be thwarted in a lot of ways and a lot of times, and it's going to be very frustrating. So you really need to help the organization develop a positive, strong safety culture. Different safety management processes. Everything we do in safety is about, it's always a process or a systems approach. So hopefully, not hopefully, but within the programs, within the courses, you're going to learn a lot of management system approaches. How to identify and manage hazardous materials, obviously, is a big topic. We spend a lot of time talking about education and training, communication, supervision. All of those things are are big in a safety program. If you look back on to one of the previous points about safety programs, all of those things are in the safety program, educating employees, training them, maintaining good communications and proper supervision, all critical components to having a well-run safety program, which helps you with your safety culture. And a couple other topics we talk about are health and occupational hygiene. Obviously, lately with COVID and all the things that are happening in the world, occupational health is a huge topic. We have many, many grads working with COVID safety plans and implementing and doing all kinds of training and education and PPE and other work with the COVID. And that's probably going to go on in the long term, because whether COVID disappears or not, there's always something else on the horizon. So an organization has to be prepared for the future. So hopefully we'll be prepared next time something like this COVID comes along. Hopefully we have learned some lessons in the last 2 years. Next slide. So where would you work after doing this program? So 1 second. A lot of our grads start work with their current employer. If you're working somewhere, it's quite common for someone to move into a safety position or take on more safety responsibilities with their current employer and develop that into a full-time job. A lot of grads stay in the same industry, at least initially, to start their careers, because in your industry, you know the hazards. So if you're in construction, you know all about what the hazards are in the construction industry, or if you're in healthcare or manufacturing, or if you're working for a municipality or the city of Vancouver, you know, you have a good idea of the workplace, the workforce, the hazards, the culture. So most grads start where they have a history and knowledge, so they can offer that knowledge and those skills to the employer, their employer, or a similar employer in that industry. So as I said, that is because of your current knowledge of people, culture, hazards in the industry. So also, where will you work? All industries require safety at some level. There are about 300,000 employers in BC, and they all have to do some level of safety. It's a legal requirement. So whether it's a full-time safety professional doing that, or whether it's someone doing it off the side of their desk, some manager doing it, some program assistant or something gets those things thrown into their job description. There is safety done at some level, at some point in all organizations. So there are opportunities in all kinds of industries and in all kinds of companies. Obviously, the larger the company, the more likely they're going to hire full-time safety professionals. And companies in more hazardous industries, say construction or forestry or manufacturing, the more hazardous industries, they hire more safety professionals than, say, libraries or bookkeepers or department stores. You know, that's another lower hazard level industry that might have one safety professional for all of BC, whereas other places have several safety professionals for each location. All depends on the hazards. You can work for public or private employers. The government hires lots of safety professionals. WorkSafe BC hires them. Municipalities, cities, City of Vancouver has 12 safety professionals. City of Surrey, Burnaby, they all have them. And those jobs are very important and very diverse, because you can do almost anything working in those jobs. So the public employers is the big employer, and also the private. And as I just said, more hazardous jobs, larger employers hire more people. So we do have grads working in pretty much every industry: healthcare, construction, forestry, mining, tourism, manufacturing, transportation, to name a few, but I'm sure you could name more. What sort of job titles do people start with? Usually it's, if you're looking at graduating with the foundations associate certificate, you're starting as a safety technician sort of level. So you're looking at OHS coordinator, occupational health and safety officer, or assistant. Later on, when you do the advanced safety management certificate, you're looking at getting a job as a safety manager at some level. So the salaries vary quite a bit, but with the associate certificate, you should expect to start around, in general, $45,000 to $50,000 range. People with, I'm not really talking about it much, but I know probably some of you have looked into the diploma in occupational health and safety at BCIT. A lot of our grads lately are starting like 75,000, but that's quite a bit more training than you're getting here. So this is the entry level, and you can work your way up over a couple of years into those 75,000 or higher paying jobs. Lots of safety professionals start with a certificate, and over time they take a few courses, they get experience, and they advance in their careers to very, very well paying jobs. So, but you know, starting out 45, 50,000 is reasonable. Next slide. So the career progression, we have pretty much covered that. So you're starting with an entry-level job or a technician job after the associate certificate in foundations. It's good if you can get a job in a large department, you know, a safety department with other safety professionals, because they would do a lot of mentoring for you. You would have a lot of support. You can build your skills over time. 1 year of work experience in safety plus the associate certificate would qualify you to apply for the BCRSP Canadian Registered Safety Technician certification. So you could apply and write the exam to get that certification. That's not required, but it is a very nice thing, and it's recognized Canada-wide. So after that, you can continue studying at BCIT in the Advanced Safety Management Certificate Program. So while you're working in safety, you can take courses in the evening or whenever to increase your knowledge, your skills, your education, because you need 4 years of work experience to qualify for the Canadian Registered Safety Professional designation. So while you're getting those 4 years work experience, you can also take a few courses each year to get the Advanced Safety Management Certificate. And that way, after the 4 years, you have both the associate certificate and certificate from BCIT, and that would qualify you with experience to write the Canadian Registered Safety Professional exam to get that designation. And that's a very high level designation, and it would qualify you for a lot of jobs in safety. And those people are usually pretty well paid. So once you get to that level, and over time, as you're getting experience, you would be hopefully moving up in the safety world and getting more, lost the words. Anyways, as you're getting the more experience, you would be moving up and getting better paying positions. And at some point you can leave your current employer because there's lots of safety jobs out there, and you could move into another employer in the same industry or different industries. There is quite a bit of opportunity out there if you, once you know what you're doing. There's lots of safety jobs. I know probably you've looked online and you can see there's a lot of safety jobs posted out there, and what what those employers are asking for. So what they list as qualifications to get those jobs. Next slide. Okay, I'm almost done with talking at you. We can answer some questions in a minute, but registration, as I mentioned before, the next term starts in about 5 weeks, April 5th, right after Easter, I believe, and runs for 12 weeks. So you can sign up for courses for next term. The term after that starts in September, and registration for each term usually opens 6 to 12 weeks before the term. So registration for the September term does not open until May 25th. All that information is online, so it's easy to find. There is no need, you don't apply to our program, you just sign up for a course and take a course. So whatever you sign up for in a term, that's what you pay for, that's what you take. There is no application to get into our program. However, at some point you have to decide, yes, I'm going to take it, and then you declare yourself into the program. So it gets to put onto your account that you are declared into a program, and that way you can complete and graduate from the program. So at some point you have to make up your mind, but you can always take a couple of courses before you declare and make sure that this is the program for you. This is the career and profession that you're interested in. Next slide.
Thank you, David. I believe that is your last slide. And that was a lot of excellent information. I really appreciate that. I just have a couple of quick things I want to note before we get to the Q&A. And yeah, now moving from academics, I would like to let you know, BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense. We want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. Some of student services are available to you as a prospective student, and others will be available once you become an enrolled student. Here's some other important student supports that I would like to mention. If you're Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aids and awards webpage. Please contact financial aid directly for information regarding financial assistance. BCIT is committed to providing assistance to students with with permanent or temporary disabilities. If you have been accepted into a program and believe you may need accommodation to be successful, I encourage you to connect with our Accessibility Services Department. And also BCIT Student Health Services is a health clinic located at the Burnaby campus. They provide medical care for current BCIT students all year round. We also have a counseling and student development department available to help you enhance your education performance and maximize your success as a student at BCIT. And also our recreational services promote, encourage, and enables the practice of physical well-being. We consider recreation an integral part of campus life and welcome all students to enjoy their services. So please, I encourage you, any of those apply to you, please check those out. And right before we get to questions and answers, I just want to encourage you to connect with us or get more information at the following social media sites: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And you can also get a lot more information on the website, different things about big info and advising, of course. And that takes us right to questions and answers. So I know people have been putting in some questions. Let me bring up my chat that is hiding under my all my windows. And here, let's start with the first one. How long does it take to complete each certificate? And I'm assuming that's a variable answer.
Yeah, it's very flexible. We allow the flexibility because students are all different. Some of our students have come in here with bachelor's or master's degrees. Some have struggled just to get through high school. Some did high school 30 years ago. So, and are not really familiar with the online road. So we have a time limit. There's a maximum of 3 years to complete the associate certificate in foundation. So you have up to 3 years, 3 terms per year. So that's 9 terms. You could complete in as few as 2 terms, which is around 6 months, but that's pretty fast. So I would say it's more likely to be about 3 terms for a quick student to get through. If hopefully they're not working full time and don't have a busy life, because that's a lot of work. So it's usually about 6 months to 2 years, I would say, for most people to get through the associate certificate. The certificate program is 45 credits or 15 courses. So that's obviously, that takes more like 2 to 5 years. Hopefully what you are working in safety and you have to get your 4 years experience to apply for the CRSP. So that gives you 4 years to take some of these courses. There's no use rushing through them all at once, but it's quite a commitment. BCIT is famous for how much work you have to do to get through the program, but it's also great because employers really like our grads and respect our grads, and they know how much work they have done to get through. So very long answer to a very short question.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Next one, we have, I worked as occupational health and safety nurse for 4 years and 1 year as safety advisor. Is this qualifies for a minimum work experience?
I would say it does, definitely. Almost anything qualifies. Like, we're not really picky, but you have been out there in those jobs. You will have talked to workers and you will have done a lot of stuff. You're not necessarily using a sledgehammer or hammer to pound things. That's not really what you need as work experience. You just need to be out there in the real world working. So I would think those two are excellent jobs and would give you some insight into what you're going to learn and how you're going to get through the program, and whether it's of interest to you at all. You probably already have a really good idea. So those are good courses or good experience.
Excellent, thank you. Next, does BCIT have collaboration with any industry that can provide some hands-on experience?
In this program, not formally. There's no formal collaboration. Our students do go out into workplaces to do assignments and to interview people, but there's not a formal process. We don't have any sort of like work experience programs or anything with this program. So usually with safety, the demand is so high that our grads are quite often snapped up fairly early. So we have not had a need to have a co-op program. Co-op programs are usually for some of the programs that it's harder to get your foot in the door and to get the experience, but that has not been the experience in occupational health and safety. So another long answer to a short question.
Excellent. Thanks for the details, David. How about this one? Do you recommend to take OCHS 1000 and OCHS 1200 concurrently, or OCHS 1000 and OCHS 2100 if a person is new to OHS?
Either one will work. It really depends a bit on the background of the student. You know, everybody comes in here, we all have lives and we have backgrounds. So it's hard to say exactly one way for everybody, because some students it might be better to go one way, some students it might be better to go another. But certainly you can do the 1000 course along with either one of those other courses. So it's okay to do them together. But yeah, I don't know if I would recommend one over the other. It depends on the student. So call me.
Okay, excellent, thanks. We will put up email address for everyone's
Yeah.
questions in just a bit. How about, could you compare CRST, CRSP, and CIH?
Well, CRST and CRSP are safety designations. So those are for safety generalists. You work in a lot of different areas of safety, and there are a lot, and you can specialize all over the place. The CIH is for hygienists. So if you're an occupational hygienist, then you would get that designation. A hygienist is usually, you go to UBC and do a master's in occupational hygiene, and then probably work in safety anyway, because the job market for hygienists is not that huge. So most people that do that program end up working as a safety professional, not a hygienist. There are some hygienist jobs, and if that's your real interest, there are some opportunities. So the difference is between a general safety professional and a hygiene professional, which is someone who's measuring contaminants in the air and what kind of exposures workers are getting to. So it's a very small specialization. And the more specialized you get, the narrower the jobs are for that. So there's not that many hygiene jobs out there, which is why a lot of them work in safety eventually.
Thank you, David. That's excellent. Do your graduates enter facilities licensing occupations, inspection of childcare and residential sites? I think that was 2 questions. I combined them.
Technically, WorkSafe BC is in charge of all workplaces in BC, so they would inspect places like that. So I guess the answer is yes. I'm not sure if I caught both questions there.
Yeah, sorry. I believe they can always shoot you an email after.
Yeah,
sorry
you
about
can
that.
always email.
Hopefully this is a good one. How many students in an online course?
Okay, we do limit the numbers in the courses because the tutor needs to get back to students in a timely manner. And so we don't overload the courses with students. We usually have a maximum of 30 students in each course. Depending on the course, some of the specialized upper level courses, we have 5 to 10 students. It really depends on the enrollment each term, but usually the maximum is about 30, so that tutors can answer their questions and in a timely manner and mark exams and get them returned in a timely manner. So.
Thank you, David. And this is going to be our last question just for tonight because we're reaching our time. And sadly, it says, will you be speaking about the OHS Practitioners Associate Certificate?
No. The Practitioners Associate Certificate, we developed that recently because the changes in the Canadian Registered Safety Professional made some changes to their requirements a couple of years ago. So people who had graduated from our previous Occupational Health and Safety Certificate did not have the credits required to apply for the CRSP as it changed. So we developed the Associate Certificate for Practitioners to allow the graduates of our old certificate program to get the credits and the information and knowledge required to apply for the new updated CRSP requirements. So it's not something, if you haven't done the program already, it's not an option for you.
Excellent. NDB just got in, so he's missed the whole presentation, but he's trying to sneak in a question. Hopefully we can do this. Sorry, joined this late. I am a Red Seal electrician. Just wondering if the certificate would qualify for WorkSafe BC qualifications to become a compliance officer.
Sure, why not?
Yes, nice.
I guess that's another conversation, but technically WorkSafe hires people out of industry all the time. It's nice if you have a certificate or an associate certificate, but that's not their primary requirement for hiring someone out of industry. So they usually look at experience, and they do a lot of personality testing to make sure you would fit into their organization. And if you have a certificate or an associate certificate, that's a bonus. So that would get you a few more points towards getting hired, but it is not a requirement.
Excellent. Thank you so much, David. And with that, I just want to let people know that if they have more questions later, they could email ohs@bcit.ca. Or if it's more of an admissions question, they can contact program_advising@bcit.ca. And I'll let you all know that a copy of the slide presentation will be sent out to all registrants sometime next week. And we'll also be putting the recording on YouTube, maybe in the next couple of weeks. And we'll send you the link to that. There are more info sessions all week, and so feel free to join any of those that interest you. And I'm going to thank you all for being with us today, and we wish you all the best with your future in health sciences. So thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you for coming. Feel free to email any questions.